My name is Dr. Job Mogire. This is day 2 of the 5 a.m. challenge. 2026 used to be a year in the future. It's no longer in the future, it is here. And all of 2026 is contained in a very, very small window called now. All of it. All of 2026 is present right now. I can escape to 1st January. I can escape to last week. I can escape to yesterday. I can escape to last night. Or I can escape to February. I can escape to March. I can escape to September. I can escape to December. This coming Christmas, the way I'm gonna celebrate it. I can escape to all those places except the only part of 2026 where my power rests is now. And that is why we are talking about our relationship with variety. Because variety wants me to experience everything else except now. For those of you who did this short experiment we did right now, I asked you for 60 seconds to just be here and present in this moment. If you've never done this, it would have felt very uncomfortable. Why? Because your mind knows how to live everywhere except now. Your mind sees the past in 3D. It sees the past in full color. It sees the future in black and white. It's either you're going to succeed or you're going to fail. There's no in between. But it sees the past in its detail. You can experience future anxiety so real, it's like it's happening. You can experience past regrets like it's happening. But this moment right now, when it comes to settling into this moment, everything comes in the way. And that is just a feature of our dysfunctional relationship with variety. I wanted to start off today by a quote I am sure you have heard. It's everywhere on the internet. The quote says, "The brain is not designed to make you happy, it's designed to help you survive." And that is true. The brain is not designed to make you happy, it's designed to help you survive. The problem is that this quote is incomplete. It's incomplete because what does it mean to survive? Quickly go to the chat box. Just read. Let's see a couple of responses. What does it mean to survive? What does survival mean? On a day-to-day basis, what does it mean to survive? The brain is not designed to make you happy. It is designed to make you survive. I see stay alive. Stay alive. Survive, barely getting by. Endure, be present, push through till the next moment. These are beautiful answers. To exist, yes, to go through life. These are all beautiful answers. But here is the practical definition of survive. Survival means meeting your needs. And this distinction is extremely important. Meeting your needs. The brain's job is to meet your needs. Now here is the danger. If a need is unmet, the brain looks for the fastest, easiest, quickest solution. If you have a need and the need is not met, the brain looks for the easiest, the cheapest, the fastest, the quickest. The brain's job is survival. What is survival? Meeting your needs. You have needs that are unmet, the brain finds a shortcut. Now, if the brain doesn't know the right solution, it uses a shortcut. And that is not a flaw. That's what we call a feature of the system. When people write software, there are always two things. Is it a bug in the software or is it a feature? This is not a bug. This is a feature of the software. It is survival logic. But the problem that arises is this. If you don't understand your real needs, what do you think the brain is going to do? The brain is a predicting machine. It predicts what will suffice or service that need or fulfill that need. So the brain keeps using shortcuts. Now, when you use shortcuts to meet fundamental needs, the shortcuts work for a brief time. It's like eating noodles. When you are eating noodles, at the time you're eating noodles, you feel like you're eating something. You're full. 1 hour later, you're hungry again. So the brain uses shortcuts to try to meet the needs, but the shortcuts never satisfy. It keeps you alive, but the hunger doesn't go away. The hunger deepens. This is a personal question to your neighbor, not you, for you. I don't think this is an issue for you. This is your neighbor. Do you have any needs that might be subconscious and the brain is actually using noodles instead of real food to try to meet that need? Such that you are quote-unquote surviving, which means you are quote-unquote meeting the needs, but you are not meeting them in a way that satisfies them. You meet your needs in a way that soothes them. And if you are simply soothing the needs, the question is, what is the cost? Because there has to be an eventual cost. You can eat noodles however many times you want. You can eat popcorn however many times you eat. When I was growing up, I had a cousin who believed that eating what we call nyoyo, I don't know what you call it in your language, what you call nyoyo, the maize that is boiled. He said he doesn't eat until he's full. He eats until he's tired, because once he's tired chewing, that is the end, because it can never fulfill him. And that is what happens when we are using shortcuts. We get tired, but we don't know why. We are eating popcorn, we are eating noodles, we are eating nyoyo until he stops, until only when he can no longer continue to chew. And that's why this morning, I want us to explore what I call the 4 fundamental hungers. And hunger is the hunger, not hanging, it's HUNGERS, hungers. What are these hungers? What is it that we are hungry for? What is it that we are hungry for that keeps us running in circles so that we end up fracturing our strategy? We fracture our foundation. What is it that keeps us going in circles and circles to the point where we externalize our ownership? So that we lose the capacity to build over and over. We lose the capacity to build deeper. We start spreading ourselves. We are spreading ourselves because we have a hunger, and the brain is using everything that is available. You use people's opinions, you use people's reactions, you use popularity, you use Facebook likes, you use the number of WhatsApp groups where you are a member of the admin committee. And all these things, they seem like they are kind of meeting the hunger. They are not. So these 4 hungers I want to speak about, they are legitimate, they are universal, you cannot escape them. And if you misunderstand them, you will remain caught. What is the first hunger? Let me get some guesses in the chat box. What do you believe are some of the hungers that truly drive you and drive me on a day-to-day basis? There are 4 hungers that control everything. What are the 4 hungers? Just give me what you think this would be, and this is how we engage. What are the 4 hungers? I really appreciate your participation. All right, what do I say? To be seen, to be loved, attention, to be heard. Hunger to be loved, to belong, hunger for food. Yes. To to be relevant, to be appreciated. I'll get a couple more, then we will proceed. Achievement, hunger for success, hunger for peace, hunger for recognition, fulfilling goals. These are all, each of you has touched on at least one of the hungers. You might use a different language, but you have all touched on it. Let's go to the first one. Each of these hungers has a qualifying word, and the word is deep. Remember, strategy is your ability and willingness to go deeper. Because strategy requires that you dedicate resources. You cannot dedicate resources everywhere. Strategy requires for you to go deeper. Each of these hungers, the actual hunger is about deep. Deep what? The first one is deep aliveness. Deep aliveness. And I love to define things in such a simple way that I can actually make it practical. So what is aliveness? Aliveness is the felt sense of being present in your own body and in your own life. It is a felt sense. It's not an imagined sense. It's not a thought sense. It's not mental. It is the felt sense of being present in your own body and in your own life. I like to use two qualifiers, energy and vitality. When it comes to deep aliveness, energy that does not require crisis, a deadline, external pressure, external stimulation, energy that does not depend on something external, and vitality that does not depend on urgency. I could tell you a million stories about how I had gotten into the habit of running late, particularly when I was in medical school, where there would be a class that is starting at 9. It is a 10-minute walk. For some reason, I leave the hostel at 4 minutes to. And then you will see me sprint. I am not a marathon runner. I am not a sprinter. And you will see me sprint. It's like I'm trying to combine losing weight and gaining strength and running to class. Right? Then I came to discover that there was a certain feeling that I had when I'm running late that nothing else gives me. I promise you, there will be times in the past when you pushed a deadline to the last minute, where you clicked send 3 seconds before it closed, and it's because you were experiencing aliveness subconsciously. Where after you sent it, you kind of felt like, now what else do I need to do? Like there's something you lost. But in those 60 seconds leading to when you are going to click and send, you are the most alive. No one can distract you, no music, nothing. You are engaged 100% in the project at hand. What would it take for me and you to experience a sample of that aliveness you have just before a deadline on a day-to-day basis? So that the goals you set last year, the resolutions you had in 2012 that appeared in 2016 and 2018 and 2022, finally, you show up with a consistent aliveness that does not depend on external crisis or deadline or urgency, where you have a total, complete, embodied, felt sense in your life and in your body. So that we no longer depend on adrenaline. A lot of the times you'll hear people say, oh, we had so much fun. They are talking about adrenaline. Because adrenaline borrows energy from the future and then it leaves you depleted. That's the cost. Busyness. When you have a full calendar, but you feel empty after each activity. There's no aliveness there. You are alive, yes, you're breathing. I mean, if you're not alive and you're in this meeting, you need to trust the magic. I know that you are. But are you actually, to what extent do you experience? You have a total felt sense that you exist. Score yourself. This is just you. And your neighbor will not say this. On a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you are honest this morning, how would you rate your level of aliveness right now? Just score, because that gap is the opportunity. What is your level of awareness, of aliveness? Now I'm talking about not mere aliveness, deeply alive. A felt sense in your body and in your life. Here is a question for your neighbor, not you. It's just, this is for your neighbor. Have you ever caught yourself at 1 a.m. in the morning? You have no reason to transnight, but for some reason, the lights are off. The lights are off, your screen on the phone is on, and you are scrolling. You are sleepy, but you're still keeping going. Did you know that one of the most warped ways through which we experience aliveness is exhaustion? Did you know that the only time we say I'm bored is when there is no crisis, no drama, no stimulation, which means when external input is taken away. I'm so bored, let's go watch a movie. I'm so bored, can we play a game? And that's because, unfortunately, we have this hidden dysfunctional relationship with variety has led us to externalize our aliveness, such that it does not exist here. It exists out there. And unfortunately for you and I, we live during the age of everything. From AI, which you will start one conversation. By the time you are getting the fourth response, you forget what you started with. And it will always ask you, oh, if you want, now I can create for you a 10-step formula that takes this idea to the next level. Social media, it used to be Facebook when it started. You would scroll until it gets to the end, then you have to refresh. Now it doesn't wait. It keeps refreshing for you. This year, 2026, your power, your freedom, your output, your overall total life experience is directly tied to the depth of aliveness you bring every moment, every situation you are in, every decision, every business project, every leadership opportunity, every speaking situation in your family, in whether you're writing or speaking or cultivating, whatever area of life you are involved in. There are interviews which you could have you could have gotten the job, but somebody was more alive than you. There are business pitches you could probably have won. There are businesses that you started you could probably have completed, but you did not have sufficient aliveness to sustain it even if you had started. The question is, what would it take? What would it take for you to get into a rhythm where you are fully present, fully alive, moment to moment, without escaping, without relying on external stimulation? What would it take? That's a question for me. What would it take for me to go higher? I feel like last year I operated quite consistently in the high 6 to 7 to 8. And my desire is to use everything that I have to consistently be higher. And this is not about being hyper. This is you sitting there and you know that you are fully present, fully alive. I have spent almost most of our time this morning on this need because this is the single most important. If you are already at a 10, congratulations. But if you're not at a 10, could you please go to the chat box and say there is room. There is room for you to improve your aliveness. Because there's room. There's room. Is there room? Nobody has room? Okay, I will say there's room. I will type myself here and say there is room. There is room. There is room. There is room for more aliveness. There is room for more aliveness. Now I will cover the next three. As long as you have a true, real grasp of the first one, all the other three, they connect to this one. The second one is connection. Deep connection. What's connection? In a very simple, pragmatic way, connection is the experience of being known and received without needing to perform or prove. Connection is the experience of being known and received without needing to perform or prove. The brain is a predicting machine. If you do not define connection for yourself, the brain will define it as proximity. It will define it as popularity. It will define it as social media notoriety. The brain will define connection as networking. Networking is transactional, and you network, and the usefulness of the quote-unquote networking you do sometimes ends. The brain will define connection as followers on social media or popularity in whatever circle you are in. The brain will define connection as being in several WhatsApp groups where it's like, oh, it's Kay's birthday, and everyone is like, happy birthday, happy birthday. Surface friendships. Here is my challenge to you this year is about depth. And regardless of who you are connected to, find and be part of a community that does not take your business studies. And for those of you who have been here longer, you know what business studies stands for. Can someone go to the chat box and remind me what business studies stands for? A community that does not take your business studies. I'm waiting for the answer. Somebody needs to remind me. I can't say it until somebody types it. Or some people have typed BS. That's not me. I'm just reading the chat box. My goodness, we are our worst salespeople when it comes to business studies, BS. Is it possible that 2025 would have been a much, much better year and 2026 would be set to even be much, much better if we could have dealt with very face-to-face, heads-on, like truly be honest? What is perspective definition from yesterday? Perspective. What's perspective? The willingness to see. And if I cannot see and be true to myself and say this is business studies, BS, I'm already letting myself down. And this is the one area. Please write this down. Please write this down. The biggest trap in my life in 2026 is leading myself by myself. The biggest trap in my life in 2026 is leading myself by myself. Why does deep connection matter? Deep connection matters because deep connection is the opportunity for you to be seen without running, for you to be seen without hiding, so that you can bring to the table your gifts and your gifts, which is your weaknesses, so that you show up as you are, so that you do not have to perform or prove or explain or justify. You show up as you are. You are connected in such a way that you begin to experience a sense of safety, and therefore you stop hiding behind your you stop trying to compensate for your weaknesses and start expressing your gifts. If you put me on a stage to dance, you're going to see 2 or 3 movements repeated over and over. In fact, I might be the reason why dance gets banned in some countries. But there are other areas, if you put me to do what I know I can do, I will do it really, really well. That is the same for you. 2026 is about going deeper in a narrow, specific spectrum. Stop spending too much energy about the areas that will never change. Things that will never change, but you trying to lead yourself to accept yourself by yourself, trust me, I've worked in this area long enough to know that it is a vicious cycle, round and round and round. Please write this down. What I need are genuine witnesses. You need genuine witnesses. And if you stay with us in the daily reset, we will show you what being witnessed looks like. Trust me, if you get witnessed, because sometimes we are in friends groups where we don't get witnessed, we get measured, we get compared. We're in groups where instead of people supporting us, they are comparing. Oh, like, did you see his car? But those it's insane. And this is why deep connection matters. Which is this community that we are going to create together, or you are going to find, where you don't have to prove or perform? Which is this community that does not allow you to show up with your BS? You show up and they tell you as it is, not from judgment, but from witnessing. I see your strengths and I see your weaknesses, but I see all of you. And you don't have to fight here, you don't have to compete here. Come as you are. Let us witness. Witness me. This is me, and I'll witness you. Just go to the chat box and if I could support you as a person to get to the point where you lose the vulnerability, the memory, the freshness of those voices from high school and college, and actually create a new set of voices that speak to all of you in a way that does not require you to try to create an impression in any way. The amount of power, the amount of mental space that will be unlocked, you cannot believe. For me, this was the single biggest unlock in my life. This was the single biggest unlock. This is the unlock that allowed me for almost 6 years to go around the country with no car. I had no car and I did not need to hide. I showed up somewhere. I went to speak at Safaricom and I went by Boda. One of my colleagues from university drove by and he's like, "Oh, Dr. Mogire, I saw you." I'm like, "You saw me? That must be my brother." There is this year, if we can just turn down the noise on those counterfeit connections, just down the volume on those counterfeit relationships, and actually narrow down to a few voices that see all of me and see all of you. That by itself, together with aliveness, if I'm a bit more alive and I'm showing up without needing to present myself in any particular light, my goodness, the freedom that brings. What would that do for you? Please go to the chat box and tell me. Share with everyone else more aliveness and true, authentic connections where those voices from Form 1 and Form 2 and college, the volume goes down. What would that do? I see rejuvenation, I see freedom, I see those are the only ones. Bold to follow your dream. You feel safe. I love that. Heaven on earth. I love that. Peace, joy. That brings us to need number 3. Hunger. Hunger number 3. The third hunger is the hunger for deep meaning. The third hunger is the hunger for deep meaning. What is meaning? I need you to take this really receive this one. What is meaning? Meaning is the sense that your effort is building something worthy of the life it's costing you. Meaning is the sense that your effort is building something worthy of the life it's costing you. You have the sense that your work is compounding, that your contribution matters beyond the transaction. That is why salary or any payment or whatever compensation you get for the work you do will never give you meaning. And this is when you differentiate it from what the brain tries to do. How does the brain try to create a meaning? The brain tries to create meaning through busyness. Being busy. It tries to create meaning through busyness, which is movement without clear direction. The brain tries to create meaning through multiple projects. Multiple projects that offer you breadth, but you don't have depth. And because you don't have depth, nothing matures. The brain tries to create meaning by making you to feel like you're in demand. You're in demand, but you are not creating anything that stays beyond that moment. Do you in your life, have you experienced this connection that happens between the beginning of a project and the end of a project? You start new things, and at the beginning it gives you a thrill, right? It gives you the thrill, but there is no meaning. This is important for you to pay attention to, that the thrill at the beginning, that is variety. That's your relationship to variety. And if you're only pursuing variety, as soon as that thrill is over, you will go to another project. But here is the catch, that meaning comes after the weight. The weight, it's the weight of building, the weight of carrying the struggle that comes with building what you started. Knowing that the beginning comes with the thrill of starting, but meaning comes after carrying the weight of what you are building. In 2026, are you willing to carry what you start, so that you don't start 5 different things? You start one thing and you hold on to it with commitment, because freedom comes after building. Freedom comes after consistency. Freedom comes after discipline. Freedom comes after depth. and depth will cost you. Because remember, meaning is that sense that what you are doing matters because you are exchanging your life for what you're doing today. You are exchanging your weeks, your months, your years. Sometimes we exchange decades. What a tragedy would it be to exchange a decade for something that does not count? What a tragedy would it be to exchange a decade of my life for something that leaves nothing behind? And remember, meaning is not discovered. You don't discover meaning. And in this case, meaning and purpose, I'm using them together. You don't discover your purpose. You forge your purpose. Your purpose, the meaning, the deep meaning that you hunger for, it requires staying past the point when things get hard. I'm asking you to make this commitment, but only make it if you are ready. You could share it in the chat box or write it down if you are ready. And this is the commitment. I will stay even when things get hard. And I don't want you to take those words lightly. If that becomes the perspective, because this is perspective, if that becomes the perspective with which you build, meaning will become automatic for you in 2026. Because it requires repetition for you to go deep. Perspective requires repetition. I will stay even when things get hard. I want you to make the commitment and make it consciously, knowing that you're actually making a really, really high commitment. I will stay. I will stay even when things get hard. Those are beautiful commitments. I will give you a bit of room to finish. Let me see a few more. Because that is my commitment this year. I will stay even when things get hard. I really applaud all of you. And please don't just type it. Can you say those words out loud? Say those words out loud. I will stay even when things get hard. I really like this. And you're making this as the first thing you are saying in the morning. The rest of this week must be really good. The rest of this day must be good. And that brings us to hunger number 4. Hunger number 4. The fourth hunger is the hunger for deep fulfillment. The hunger for deep fulfillment. What's fulfillment? I feel like I keep saying you must pay attention to this one. I'm going to say that again about this because this is so powerful. Fulfillment. Fulfillment is the experience of receiving what you have. Fulfillment is the experience of receiving what you have. And there are two words I like to use when it comes to thinking about fulfillment. The first one is satisfaction. Receiving what you have is, in other words, satisfaction that does not immediately reach for what is next. And when satisfaction becomes a habit of not immediately reaching for something next, but actually really seeing it. This is perspective, seeing what is here. The other word is arrival. Arrival that actually registers. This is not about you, it's about your neighbor. Do you know any people who have had amazing experiences, achievements, they graduated, they've achieved things which 20 years ago they would never have imagined, but they don't feel it. They have been in graduations, they have pictures from some of their biggest achievements, but when they look at the picture looks more beautiful than the experience itself. Have you ever talked to people who had beautiful weddings, but you ask them their experience of that day, they were exhausted because they were thinking, oh, will the cake arrive? Or will the tents be set? Or will the photographers come on time? Or they are worried about everything else except the experience of being here. We do that with our own life, where we get so caught up with everything else, we miss out on the experience of what is actually happening in our life. That beauty we don't experience. That's, yes, Jeff Kemei, I see, that's my neighbor. Yes, it's not you, Jeff Kemei, that is our neighbor. Our neighbor, where beautiful things happen, but we get the degree. The degree is right here, right? And immediately we are like, oh, that's a master's? Where can I register for a PhD? Oh, that's a PhD? Where can I register for a postdoctoral fellowship? Oh, my business made how much? Oh, 800,000? How can I get to 1 million? Such that this never registers. Our hand is always ready to grasp, except it doesn't grasp and hold. It grasps, it goes and grasps and puts here, and then it goes to grasp again. That is a dysfunctional relationship with variety, where my life, your life becomes about grasping rather than receiving what is here. Receiving this degree, and it rests in my hand and I feel it, and I actually embody it. It becomes part of my experience. Satisfaction that does not reach for what is next, because if I can do that, what you have doesn't matter to me, because you have a bigger car, but I have my car. I am experiencing this car, knowing that if I can feel this car, when I get the bigger one, I will feel it too. Because if I cannot feel this one that is at hand, it doesn't matter how big it gets, I will still not feel it. Because I might get a bigger car like yours, but yours is blue, mine is white. No, I need a blue car. I get the blue one, and then you go get a black one. I need a black one. That journey never ends. You are hungry for deep fulfillment, the capacity to receive what you already have. I know this is not you, but I would like you to go to the chat box and just say, my neighbor, if you know anyone, and we are not saying it's you, if you know anyone who this year receiving what he or she has in their life is going to make such a huge difference and bring a lot of joy and break that vicious cycle. So that with deeper aliveness, that by itself and the ability to receive what you have. When you acquire things, acquisition delivers you the object. Acquisition delivers you the object. Fulfillment delivers the experience. And fulfillment is an attitude that you have to embody. And that brings me to the close of this session. I didn't expect it to go this long, but I would like you to make sure you watch yesterday's session and link it up to today, because tomorrow we will be all practical. You walk out tomorrow with a simple, clear strategy to actually, you will be ready tomorrow to set goals next week, so that you are no longer setting goals that are crowded by all these external voices. You set goals where you know what you are looking for. Can I see, of these 4 needs, please go to the chat box, of these 4 needs, which two of these 4 registered to you the strongest? Which of these 4 needs registered for you the strongest? Just share in the chat box which of those 4 Just share your two, aliveness and fulfillment, aliveness and deep meaning and deep fulfillment. Always include the word deep because that's the differentiator. Deep meaning and deep fulfillment, deep aliveness and deep connection. Deep connection, deep meaning and deep connection, deep aliveness, deep fulfillment, deep aliveness, deep meaning. This is what I am searching for, what I am hungry for. When you are searching for success, in fact, when you sit down today, I want you to ask yourself, look at every goal you have. Look at every goal and ask yourself, is this goal what am I trying to achieve? Is it fulfillment? Is it aliveness? Is it connection? Ask yourself that question and figure out why that goal matters to you. If the goal is not satisfying the hunger, it is a noodle and it's probably controlled by other people. Maybe it's been set out of comparison or competition. And those unfortunately will never meet or fulfill or satisfy your hunger. That brings us to the close of day 2. You cannot miss day 3 tomorrow. We will go lighter. It will not be as hard hitting as this, but it's going to be truly practical. And you will be finally ready. You will be ready to set your goals for 2026. My name is Joe Mogire from the House of Mastery. Same time tomorrow at 5 a.m. East African time. Over to you, Gladys.
Wow, let's appreciate our heart